Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me today for the mark making workshop. These workshops run on Zoom every Wednesday from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. And they're going to be running up until the 30th of June, so every Wednesday up until the 30th of June. And you can purchase tickets via the Eventbrite link, which I have shared on Facebook, on other social medias. Um, so yeah, go and check it out if you would like to join any time as well, which would be brilliant. Now we experiment with lots of different materials, different objects to make kind of random marks and textures. And again, a lot of our participants are looking at recycled materials, so like cardboard, packaging, envelopes, that kind of stuff. And it's turned into more of a mail art project where people can kind of send in works. As you can see behind me, all these works have been sent in by other people and then displayed on the kind of gallery wall, kind of so to speak, behind me as well, which is a really nice idea and a really nice way to bring other artists together who have joined these workshops throughout the weeks. They can send in work and then they can have it displayed in like a little kind of home gallery setting with other people that have taken part. So I think if you would like to do that, then come and join the workshops and send in images or send in physical work to me. Both are equally as good. But we're going to give it a few more minutes and then I think we're going to get started and see what we can make today. I have a lot of different materials. So I've got some ready mixed paints, I've got some brushes, some nail brushes, some paint brushes, I've got some sponges, I've got things like sensory balls, and then I've got a golf ball, and I've got some tennis balls, and then things like makeup brushes, pastry cutters, combs. Combs make a really nice uniform marks. I've got a whisk, a sieve, and then I've got things like wooden spoons and kind of cleaning brushes to make different marks. And then surface wise, I've actually put together this week 5 collage bits using newspaper, newsprint, white card, envelopes, bubble wrap. So I've made 3 small surfaces and then 2 large surfaces, which are down the bottom, which we will look at later on. And then I've also got things like brown paper, newsprint on rolls, packaging, brown paper, so a few different things, and some envelopes as well. So again, some really good and really interesting kind of material combinations. So something that we can all experiment with and look at as well. And I hope that these workshops really inspire you to make, different kind of approaches to your practice as well. So we tend to look at new kind of art making techniques and I guess challenging the conventions of art making and the production of art. So using random objects that we wouldn't associate with the term, art, and using them in that way to make different marks is quite an interesting thing. Now we're just going to wait a few more minutes. I think we've got Fiona joining us, and then hopefully Liz as well. So we'll give it a few more minutes, and then we're gonna get started as well. It should be good. Oh, I've also got some bubble wrap as well. I've got some bubble wrap on a roll that I ordered from Amazon. So again, things like Amazon and Baker Ross are quite good places to get different materials from. And I've got things from Wilko's as well, so not spending too much money on it as well. And you can really find some interesting objects. I also have some natural materials that I've collected from like daily walks, so things like bark, sticks, stones, dried leaves, that kind of stuff. So things that can make some really nice imprints and textures and different things. So for this, it kind of developed from a performance kind of background where I was creating different artworks using the body. And then due to lockdown, we're all using social media and different ways to communicate. So I just thought, how about making it an interactive social space and providing and facilitating workshops that people can join. And I prefer to think of it as we're all performing in our different environments, performing with these objects in our different environments. So I really hope you enjoy it and you all get a chance to join in with the workshops if you're able to. Right, I think we're going to get started because I think Fiona may be a little bit late, so we will get started and then we can let her in when she comes. I'm just going to move all my things to the side. I tend to lay things out, but I'm just going to move them all to the side just so we can get started. I've also got some small pieces of white card as well that we can use later on. Right. I've also got all my paints already in my palette and everything. Okay, Fiona has just got in, so I'll let her in now. Hi, Fiona.
Hello, Holly. How are you?
Okay, thank you. How are you?
Good. I'm very well. Yeah, very well. I'm just in from a wee walk. Grieved. My husband had an hour and a half spare. Excuse me. So we went for a walk, and we dandered. You know, we looked in shop windows, and we stopped and chatted, and we ended up late. So apologies.
No worries at all. It's nice and sunny over here as well, so I might do a walk or something later on. Take my camera, get a few photographs.
Yes. How are you?
Thank you for the photographs as well that you sent me yesterday. They look really great.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really pleased.
And packaging that you had as well, and the different kind of spaces that you can create within.
Yeah. I actually forgot to photograph the ones that are behind me up on the shelf there. They're on recycled packaging as well. On the green one in particular, I did that last week. And I should have photographed that one. I'll photograph that one for you this week and put that in whatever package I manage to get together. And I will get a package together this week, I promise you. I've lost you a wee bit there. No, still can't hear you, sorry.
How about now?
Yep, you're back in green now, yeah.
I would say we've had our first uni meeting yesterday, so we're back in the studio on Monday, which is
brilliant.
Looking forward to it. It's been a long time coming.
It will feel like a long time coming, because it has been, actually. There's a good reason why it's felt so long.
What have you got with you?
I can't hear you, sorry.
How about now, Fiona?
Yep.
I was saying, what sorts of materials have you got today? So surface.
Yes, so I've got the box, the cardboard box that I'm going to work on. And I dismantled my cardboard Christmas tree earlier on in the week. So I've got some nice bits of cardboard that I'm going to work on with sort of quite nice shapes. And excitingly, I've got some new colours. My new colours came, so I've got some really nice yellows and greens, and I got some silver and some gold as well. So I'm going to see how I can incorporate those in. So yeah, and then I'm going to just have a look around. Oh no, I've got other stuff. This nice piece of plastic, I don't know if you can see, it's got quite lots of different shapes in it. I'm going to cut that up and see what I can make out of these kind of circles and rectangles and different, because there's different kind of levels to it. So I'm going to cut these up and see what I can make out of these. I might actually glue them on as well. I might glue them on. What else to do with my wee gatherings?
This week as well, I spent a bit of time making collage background, using like newspapers and envelopes and different things. I've got 3 here, and then I've got 2 larger ones that I'm going to actually do on the floor. So I'll move my camera later on. Different scale as well, and then I've got some things like shoe boxes and brown paper bags that I was thinking of doing something with.
Ooh.
This just collecting materials and things to use. Yeah, I think the recycle theme that you've got going on kind of really inspired me as well to do that. So thank you.
You're welcome. I don't think it was an original thought of mine. There might be other people using that kind of thing. Oh, messy. I didn't clean up after the last time I used this. That's a bit naughty, isn't it? Make it harder. Maybe it won't incorporate into things. So do you think you've got anybody else joining today?
Liz is joining around 11:30.
Nice. And if you're back at uni, are you still going to be able to do these workshops, or are you coming to a natural end here?
Workshop and stuff.
Sorry, this workshop.
The 30th of June it ends. Sorry.
Ah, right, okay.
12 more sessions.
Right, okay, that's good. That's good to know, actually. I might not be able to make the last. No, the 13th of June. Did you say? No, I didn't hear it again. No, I still can't hear you. Sorry. I'm going to put myself on mute.
That's fine. And the 30th of June, is that okay? Yeah. Yeah, so we've got about 12 more sessions until then. I'm just starting by making some different kind of uniform lines with this short comb that I've got as well. So we'll seeing what that creates.
I'm just going to create some space for myself. I've managed to get myself into a right guddle. Got this everything. I feel the need to have everything right in front of me, and I don't. I've got plenty of space to put things away, and I don't. And now I'm going to move things away so that I can take things out. Yes, I need to get rid of some of this. Create some space. Although all I'm doing is moving the guddle from one bit to another.
Right, I'm just using a sensory ball. So I've got a pack of about 6 sensory balls, all with different kinds of marks, so like as you can see here. So things like this, they're like kind of like dog toys in a way, and they've all got different marks, and they just make some really nice, really interesting textures as well. So again, this is a really good material to experiment and to use. As you can see, it's making a few dots and different things. So again, a really cool and really fun material to use. I'm just kind of rolling it across the surface as well, so in a kind of circular motion. What I might experiment as well with today is doing another one of my drip paintings like I did last week, possibly as we start.
Yeah, that looked really good last week. Have you got any copies of them? You got any of those to hand? How did that dry out?
Have a look. Right, I've got one here, Fiona. Let me show you. Yeah, I've got two. Here we are. So I think it was that way around that I did it. Yeah, you can see kind of all the colours of, drip down in kind of unison, but then they've merged together. And again, the same with this one as well. I think you've got yourself on mute. Sorry, Fiona. You okay?
Yeah, I can't hear you if I'm not on mute. So I like the one particularly in your right hand. Wiggle that. Yes, that one. That. Do you keep all of your work?
Yes, yeah, I do. What I normally do is some of the smaller pieces will go either in a folder, or I'll show you one of my sketchbook pages. I will put them in a sketchbook and kind of experiment with different positions and different combinations. Some of the larger pieces either go in folders or just kind of at the side, somewhere. I've got my little art corner here. And what I have done as well is two of the A2 pieces that I've done, I have actually framed them because I had some frames left over that I ordered like last March, and I thought I'll do something with them, and they look really good in frames. So that's kind of given me an idea to maybe create some sort of installation or something. Maybe when I'm back in the studio or something like that. And I've also been experimenting with collage. So what I've done is I've taken some of the pieces that I've done from different workshops and actually just torn them up and tried to combine them in different kind of areas, and just seeing what they'll look like. So again, reworking pieces and taking pieces that have already dried and that I've done, and then developing them further into little experiments. So I have been doing that as well this week.
That's really good. That's quite like, what's that female collage artist, Krasner. She was married to the guy that did all the scatological stuff.
I think.
Jackson Pollock. She was married to Jackson Pollock, and I think her name was Krasner or Kravner, something like that. And she did a lot of work like that. Her collages are absolutely stunning, but she used like, she did exactly that, kind of like cutting up her own pieces of work and then reframing them in different contexts.
Yeah, that's definitely one for me to look up. Sure. All this work really did start by looking at Jackson Pollock's work and his large scale kind of action painting kind of pieces, and it really stemmed from a performative kind of background and the idea of using the body and the different gestures that kind of come into it. But what I found really interesting is he didn't actually record any of his performances or his works. He just wanted the audience to see the final thing. He didn't want them to see the different stages of production, which I found really really interesting. Oh, sorry, you're on mute again, Fiona.
I quite like the different stages of production. I sometimes sometimes I photograph halfway through thinking, should I stop here? I'm not going to, but will I get to the end and go, you should have stopped there? Not very often, I've got to be honest, though. I'm actually quite like, I'm quite in tune with where I should and shouldn't go.
I seem to have got into kind of printing at the moment as well. So taking work and then folding it in half, or doing like drip paintings and different things. So again, different ways to make marks on the surface, either with objects or just by simply folding the page and creating a symmetrical kind of design. I think that is, again, really interesting. Another way to develop work as well.
Yes, I'm saying I think that I'll be able to do that with this boxy thing that I've created. Well, that somebody else created for me, actually, truth be told.
At the moment, I'm just taking this paper bag that I've got and just opening it up, and I'm going to use this as one of my next surfaces to work on. I quite like the texture and the noise as well, so when you're opening a material like that, the noise that comes off it, I do quite like it, as well as the noises and the sounds that the objects make, you know, when you're applying them to the surface, the different sounds. You know, if you just take a video without the image and you just listen to the sounds, it's really interesting.
I quite enjoy the background noises of artwork being made. Yeah. That's quite a satisfying noise that you make when you're doing that. It's almost like a kind of bird knocking noise.
I've got the tennis ball out at the moment, so I'm just doing a few different marks with that. One thing to think about that's really interesting is, are you kind of printing or performing with the objects, or are the objects as a painting tool? And when you look at these works, is it the record of a performance, or is it a painting? So that is, again, something that I have been looking at, and kind of what these works mean and what they are. And I'm continually looking at that now as well. So it's good because you get different ideas as well from these workshops. I always find myself developing more ideas and different ways to take the project, depending on, you know, the conversation and talking to other people. And these workshops are really, really handy for myself, as well as hopefully you and Liz and whoever else joins.
I think that idea of it being the performance, the process, as much as the product at the end of the day. Although, honestly, I'm so pleased with the product at the end of the day, which I very seldom am when it comes to the artworks. But yeah, that notion of it being a performance, that it being something that is tactile as well, and not just visual, but like orally stimulating at the same time.
I quite like this golf ball that I'm using as well. It seems to make some really nice track lines on the artwork.
Is it making kind of dimples?
Yeah, almost like like car marks in the mud, like car tire marks in the mud. That's almost what it looks like. I think it's really interesting as well when you're using these objects. You can see the artwork over time building up. It's almost like a journey with the objects, and over time you can see the different layerings and how the artwork is changing state and appearance. So it's kind of hard to know when to stop applying more objects and more materials. It's kind of hard to know yourself where your limit is, and for me it's when all four corners of the work are full. They've got to be full for me, and I don't know, it just looks right.
I find it very difficult to leave space in any kind of artwork. My dad loves an artist that we have in the Borders called Mary Golding, and she's a very good watercolorist and a very good pastel, works in pastels as well. But she has this wonderful way of just leaving space in the page on the as part of the drawing, and I'm like, see, I would need to put color on that. I need to do something with that. I couldn't just leave it. And so and what one of the things that I find very satisfying about this way of working is that you can do exactly that. You can fill each corner, you can fill all the space with it. I like filling the space. Oh, getting messy.
Right, at the moment I've just got some packaging, and I've got some plastic and kind of different envelopes, different sized envelopes as well. So I'm just going to see what I can do with those. Right.
As part of your uni course, do you have end of term exhibitions?
We do have an interim show, which is like an end of term exhibition for level 5. So that will be taking place sometime in the next term. And then also the final of our degree show as well, which should be good. And along the way, we have plenty of kind of practice exhibitions. Now, at the moment, we've just started a new project with the Henry Moore Institute in Leeds, as well as the Leeds Art Gallery. So already we're kind of making, I guess, connections with those different kind of places. So at the moment, we're just starting to work on those two projects really at the moment. We've been assigned an artwork in relation to our practice and what we've been looking at, and then we have to create responses to a particular work in the exhibition, and the exhibition is called Natural Encounters. So all to do with the environment and the landscape. So yeah, no, really interesting things that we've been working on.
Have you got your assigned piece yet?
I have, yes. Now, I'll put the name in the chat because she's got one of those names that are very hard to. I'll put it in the chat. There we are.
Tomato Takashini?
This is the name of the artwork. Now, yeah, so she does a lot of sculpture and using domestic objects to create large scale sculptures, really. And at the end of each exhibition, she's got a thing where she'll actually allow the audience to take an object or something home. So,
I love her already.
Kind of, where it's a sculpture, but then the audience can take a piece of the artwork away, and it just exists as photographic documentation. So yeah, definitely a really good artist to research as well.
Lots of connections with your own work as well.
I really like the idea of domestic objects as well, having some sort of purpose within the artwork. Based on our practice, the curators selected these artworks for us.
So I don't know Leeds at all. I don't know that I've ever been to Leeds. Is there quite a good art culture set up down there?
There are plenty of different kind of galleries and art places to go nearby. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, really good connections. And the gallery have also got a connection with Leeds Beckett Uni, which I go to. And we have different lectures and artist talks and everything there, and people will come to the gallery and put on talks and talk about their work and everything. Last year there was an exhibition called Slow Painting and curated by Martin Herbert, and there was a really good works all to do with time and the idea of an artwork developing over time and changing its state, and I really found that interesting. And then artists such as Sonia Boyce have come to do talks and lectures about their work there. So no, it's got quite a good arts connection. I feel for sure.
And what are your favourite art galleries in Leeds then?
I mean,
if I was coming for a city break, where would you direct me to go in terms of art galleries?
The art gallery, and I also like the Yorkshire Sculpture Park in Wakefield, which is about 5 or 10 minutes away from Leeds. Yeah, the sculpture park is really good. You got some really amazing works, indoors and outdoors. So yeah, for sure. And also the Hepworth Gallery, which is also in Wakefield, Barbara Hepworth, which is also in Wakefield too. Where you are, where do you normally go and visit different places then for like art galleries and everything? Where would you recommend then? Is it in Edinburgh that you are?
Yeah, so Edinburgh has got some great art galleries. We've got a national gallery which has a really great permanent collection, and then does kind of big big exhibitions quite often of older, more established artists. But we also have a brilliant art college in Edinburgh, and they do obviously like their end of year, their final, their final exhibitions at the National Gallery, which is always a very exciting time. Really missed that in the calendar last year. And then we have a National Portrait Gallery, which again has quite a very wonderful established collection of pieces from, not exclusively, but most, like a lot of Scottish artists are well catered for there. And they also have some very modern and quite exciting roving exhibitions. But we're very close to Glasgow here, Holly, and Glasgow's got some brilliant collections: the Burrell collection, the Hunterian Gallery, the one, there's a big one that I'm forgetting, not the Macintosh Gallery, although that's quite good as well. The Burrell, but maybe I'm thinking of the Burrell collection. But and both Glasgow and Edinburgh have modern art galleries as well, like our national moderns. So there's a lot within an hour's drive. Glasgow's like 40 minutes on the train. So we would frequently go through to Glasgow for whatever exhibitions are on.
I've just made something just on some newspaper using a tennis ball on string and a whisk to make some different marks and some action painting kind of pieces. But again, this is just using a piece of newspaper, just really, really thin newspaper. And I've used the comb, the whisk, and then I've used this tennis ball that I've put on a bit of string here, just to the drag around the page and kind of bounce up and down and everything. So, and it seems to have made some really good marks, and it also reminds me of the ocean, you know, the different kind of blues that you can see as well. Oh, sorry, you're on mute, Fiona, I think.
I mean, remuted myself. I say it's quite a fragile piece on the newspaper then.
I'm starting on my first drip painting, just using a cardboard box that I've just opened up, and I'm just using some of my ready mixed paints that I've got that seem to work quite well. You know, you said you've got some new materials, Fiona. Are they new paints and everything, or?
Yeah, just some new colours. Really nice aqua. I'm the piece that I'm on just now is covering the yellows. So I've got a lovely deep yellow, yolky cadmium yellow, a Naples yellow, and a lemon yellow. And I have just started adding to that neon green. So I still haven't got around to getting the drippy ones that you've got, but it is in my imaginary head shopping basket, as it were. I nearly bought some at Sainsbury's the other day, they had just a, not Sainsbury's, Asda, they had a pack of 4, just primary colours and white, I think it was, like that liquidy stuff that you use. And I was like, oh, I could do that just as a wee experiment. And I was thought, no, do you know what? I'd like a bigger range. I'd like that Baker Ross package that you were talking about.
Yeah, class package, 28. You've got multiple colours, so you know, like 3 or 4 of the red and the yellow. And I think with this activity as well, you do tend to get through them fairly quickly. And it was only £19.99 for 24 bottles of 600 milliliter ready mix paint. So again, not too bad, not too expensive. I think.
No, I've got, like I say, I've got a mental shopping list for Baker Ross. And I'm really loving this plastic tray that I have cut up. They're making similar but significantly different kind of marks for each one. And as I'm changing colours with each one, it's kind of creating quite a vibrant pattern on the page. Very much about the process then, isn't it, when you're watching it like that?
Yeah, what I'm going to do as well is hopefully rotate it and do the same on the other side, and then hopefully they'll merge in between. That is the idea. But yeah, very much about the process versus everything else, for sure.
At the moment, I've got a bit of netting from a bag of lemons.
Okay, brilliant.
And I'm just managing to get some really nice, quite sort of light, tickly almost textures from it. I'm using it quite lightly and creating like little filling in some of the gaps, Holly. I like the kind of veiny way that the paint goes sometimes when you when you fold it on each other, and as it lifts off, and it creates that almost organic look, a sort of mossy look, you know, a kind of vein structure.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really interesting to kind of watch where the paint goes, and it won't go exactly in a straight line. It'll start merging with other colours, which is really interesting.
How have your colleagues at uni been managing, Holly? Some of the art classes, well, some of the art classes, the art class that I go to on a Thursday with my dad, I think I've described it to you before. I'm one of the youngest people there. It's mostly people in their sort of 60s and 70s. And they've all found it really difficult to motivate themselves to create at the moment. So as people, I mean, you know, you've got youth on your side, you've got excitement on your side, and you're clearly still very, you know, you're producing at a great rate. Are other people at uni being able to create still?
There are quite a few people that have been doing different things, and we've got a group chat going as well, so we can offer each other advice and share work in there. A lot of people have been struggling to motivate themselves, you know, due to lockdown and due to not being in the studio and seeing other people. Yeah, a lot of people have found it quite tricky to motivate themselves and to do work that they like doing and that they're proud of and pleased about. So yeah, I think motivation has been one of the factors that people have been somewhat lacking due to being at home and you know, creating on your own in such a domestic kind of environment.
And I suppose it very much depends on what you're you know, what kind of artwork you're producing. But I guess for a lot of people, the stimulus of events, the stimulus of social interaction, the stimulus of even nature for a lot of people, you know, we've just recently booked up a few days breakaway at the end of May. We've booked ourselves into some hotels, and they're all on the coast, because we realised that we are so missing walking coastal walks. And Edinburgh is beautiful, and technically we are on the coast. You know, we've got the fourth out there that we can go to, but walking on a beach is not the same as doing a coastal walk. And that's what I've missed. And I think in terms of inspiration, you know, that if you know, you're used to being able to access external inspiration, that must be really hard to be stuck at home and not being able to.
Oh, I think Liz is here now. I thought a name popped up in the meeting, but it hasn't yet. Right, so I'll show you the piece that I have just done. Here we are. This is the drip painting piece that I've done, and I'm trying not to get paint everywhere, but if I just hold it up like this, I've got it on both sides, and you can see in the middle where the paint has merged, and now it is gradually moving back down.
Will you keep that as a whole piece, or will you split that up?
I don't know. I mean, I quite like it as a whole piece, but I might actually split it up into 3 bits because I quite like the way it's divided. So yeah, I possibly may split the work up.
It's nice as a single piece though, with that bit in the middle, kind of holding it almost. It's almost like a book. It's a story. It's a storybook.
I'm just gonna go and put it down to dry. Right, I think I'm actually going to start on my collage surface that I have been making this week. I'll show you the first one. I've just put together envelopes, packaging, newsprint as well. So some really different combinations, all put together using masking tape. So I think I am gonna start on that now. I think.
It's a really interesting surface. It's already got its it's already started its story before you've even touched it with paint.
I quite like the idea of putting together different things to make one whole, but also the irregular kind of shape that you've got from it. You're not just using a piece of paper, you're kind of developing it and I guess, yeah, creating a story before you've even started using it as well. And that's kind of the same with envelopes and mail as well that you get. You know, if you're working on packaging and mail that you've got through the post, it's already got a journey or a story before you've even touched it, which again is a really interesting way to think about it.
So the thing that I'm working on, I'm going to be holding it upside down just now because it's not finished yet, but I just wanted to show it to you just now. It feels like it's a bit, so what I'm going to do after I've shown this to you and probably photographed it is try and join it all together. At the moment, it feels like it's in little parts. And although I've used a lot of the same materials, the same objects, so the shapes are throughout, it still doesn't feel quite drawn together yet. So I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to try and do some paths that you're so very good at. I'm probably going back to my trusty library card for that. Or maybe my medicine, maybe my tablets. Maybe not my library card, maybe I've lost my library card. It's a tragedy. Oh no, life will never be the same again.
Interesting, really uniform kind of marks as well.
It's a sign. It means that I've got to use something else, doesn't it? That's exactly what that is. Right, I'm going in with greens. I've put 3 shades of green down here, and I'm gonna mix them all up. Okay, that's gonna work. I'm just going off to look for a card, Holly.
At the moment, I'm just going to start by using some of my small scale pieces and applying some different kind of marks using different objects. At the moment, I'm using this tennis ball on some string that seems to be working quite well.
I think I'm going to get myself a ball for next week to put on a bit of string. Ouch. That looks like fun.
Yeah, it seems to have created some really interesting kind of marks, some nice spongy marks. And I've dipped in different colours of paint and it's come out like this. So again, some really interesting marks here. Right, I'm just going to start now by using this kind of packaging that I've got here. I've got some, like, a face mask kind of packaging that I've got, and inside it's got some plastic here. So I'm just going to start, I think, by working on the plastic actually, just to see what we can do. And I've also got my final envelope as well from my post on Friday. So I'm going to see what I can make from that as well. I've just had to pour myself some more paint, Fiona, as well. So I'm just going to keep my palettes all topped up and everything.
Yeah, I've put the cardboard piece aside just now. It's not finished, but I think I need to kind of just sit with it for a bit to see where else I'm going to go with it. And I'm going to start a new piece, and I've got a piece of paper, but I've just remembered that I actually had a plastic bag sent through that I thought that's a beautiful grey canvas. So I'm going to get that now.
I've also got this tennis ball as well. I'm gonna start using. Again, you can see my work is very, very colourful and everything. So, oh, hello. Is that you, Adam? I think it is. Thank you for joining. Yeah, I was saying before, I'm just using this kind of plastic packaging. So at the moment, we're just experimenting with recycled packaging. So cereal boxes, used envelopes like this. I've also made some backgrounds, which I'll show you in a bit. Used newspaper, bubble wrap, masking tape, and different things that I've put together. So again, a mixture of different surfaces, different things that you can work on. Okay, this plastic, Fiona, is starting to look really interesting actually. It's nice and shiny. I've got here. I think you're on mute, sorry, Fiona, as well.
Sorry, I can't hear you unless I put myself on mute. So it's that's why I'm kind of going backwards and forwards with it. Yeah, I like the being able to see right through it. Like that's actual clear space, not just empty space, but clear space.
I like the kind of the different colours that I've got going on. Again, it reminds me very much of the sea and kind of just being outdoors. So I've added plenty of white on as well. And I also quite like the fact that it's like a sponge, you know, when you're kind of bouncing it up and down, it's kind of blending those colours in, and you can't exactly control where it's going to land and what colours are going to mix together. So I think that is quite interesting as well.
I've got lots of yellows all over my iPad today. I might actually have to clean it once I'm finished. we're going on.
Every single week, I always get paints and everything on my laptop. I'm using a laptop, so on my mouse area, with it being like a touchpad kind of thing, I've always got to get makeup wipes or some wipe and just do it very, you know, very lightly and everything. But no, that happens to me every single week. I'm not joking.
Makes me feel a bit better. This is the grey sheet of plastic that came in with some cartridge paper in it, and I just loved the feel of it and the kind of the shade of the grey. I was like, man, I'm gonna use that.
I was looking the other day as well. I just realised that this is our 8th workshop. So these workshops have actually been going on for 2 months now. I didn't realise that, but they have. They've made some really kind of interesting marks, and I quite like the transparency of this kind of area, and then kind of the white space around, which is really great. I'm actually being mindful of the kind of stamp area as well, which is quite interesting. And I think you did something similar to that as well, Fiona. And you could see the stamps coming through. I found that really interesting.
It was Christmas stamps as well, so it kind of it meant that the piece had a kind of it gave it a kind of part of the diary, the calendar of the year sort of thing. It placed it in a certain part of the year.
Now, I think when you were talking before about the journey of different materials, so say, because I think it was you that actually gave me the idea to collect envelopes in the first place. I think it was one of our conversations about 2 or 3 weeks ago with Liz as well. But the journey of materials, so whether it's packaging that you normally throw away, that you recycle and kind of repurpose and make into different artworks, or it's just envelopes that have come from one place to another, that kind of journey. As well as the term mail art that I've been looking at in terms of, making work in the workshops and then sending them to me. So again, a kind of play on words there with the idea of mail art and using mail within the context of art. So again, 2 very different meanings right there. I'm just using this sensory ball again that I actually got for a project last year. Now it seems to be making some really good marks, and I've also got quite a few of these here, so just hold them up. A few different sensory balls, all making very different marks. So yeah.
I just did not get on well with the ball. It was very messy. It hurt. I was just like, it made me really anxious. So I'm going to have to kind of get over myself and pull up my big girl pants and try again. Maybe a tennis, I like the idea of the golf ball, actually. We've got a golf course not terribly far away from us. Maybe I can go and hang about at the edges and see if I can find myself a lost golf ball.
This is becoming a very, very messy activity. I always say every week I should put some sort of cloth or mat or something down, and I never do. I never do. I mean, I've got a white sheet on the floor to put all of my work on, but I haven't actually got anything to protect the table, so.
I got a new table just before Christmas, like to work on in this space. And I've got a very scabby old tablecloth on top of it, which is absolutely covered in nonsense. Maybe I should wash it.
At the moment, I am working on my second surface that I've made. So we've got a mix again of packaging, white card, bubble wrap, newspaper, and again put together using masking tape or brown tape. I'm actually just painting with one of my old makeup brushes as well.
That's really funny. When I went through to find another card, I went into the drawer that has my makeup in it and I looked at it and I went, I'm not going to use a lot of you ever again. I think I might put you into a piece of artwork. Mascara.
Oh yeah. So maybe I would say lip gloss, but it's quite material. Maybe some lipstick.
That's
I'm going to pour myself some white paint actually. I quite like using this whisk actually for this kind of thing. It's very therapeutic, put it that way. It's actually quite relaxing just throwing some paint around as well. And then what I am doing is actually folding in some of the corners that I've been working on, just folding in some of the newspaper just to make some kind of different marks and then folding it back out again. But again, all these materials are just held together by masking tape on both sides. I'll hold it up that I just made here. I quite like the fact that it's such an irregular shape as well. It's just a mix of different kind of surfaces all in one, which is really interesting. For sure.
I'm very frustrated that I can't see these things close up because I'm aware when I hold my stuff up, you're not catching the details. So I'm assuming that the same is of you. I love the kind of the bubble wrap bit in the middle of it though. That's very visible and it's, yeah. You got a bit of black in there, Holly. You don't use black very often.
No, I use the black with either the whisk or with the pastry cutter. I do quite like the rings that it creates. So the nice kind of uniform lines, because with black for me, I tend not to use a lot of it. It looks good on some colours, but I tend not to make that my kind of go-to shade, if you like, just because I'm not really a fan of black, but I'll use it in moderation. I've got one of my final collage surfaces here, and I've also got some brown paper. I'll show you on a roll. It's a brand new roll as well, so I might use some of that. I quite like the one that I think Amanda sent this one in. And I think they've just used brown paper or some kind of packaging. So yeah, I'm excited to use this material because I haven't actually used brown paper that much, really. Can't remember the last time I used it, so I am excited for that. And before we end as well, I think I might do one of my drip paintings again. Which should be good. Right. I think I'll do one now actually like this. I'm just going to start by opening all of the paint because for this one, it hasn't got a strong back like the cardboard, so I'm going to have to hold it with one hand. So I'm just going to start by opening all the lids on my paints that I'm going to use. Now I've got things like reds, oranges, yellows, blues, greens, so some really exciting materials and colours. I'm going to use some white as well. I think white does look quite good on newspaper and newsprint. I'm just going to start by holding it up and starting right at the top, and you can see it gradually dribbling down. This is something that I don't normally do, where I'm holding it up and kind of demonstrating to the camera, so I think we're going to try this. And I'm just going to apply my next colour kind of close to it, and you can see it gradually moving down the surface that I'm using as well. So over time it's gradually changing state, and if you think about it, the paint is going on a journey from the top of the piece to the bottom of the piece. So again, a really interesting way to think about the materials that you're using and the surface, because I think the materials and the objects and the surface all go on a journey of their own in one way or another, and kind of all come together as one kind of artwork or one piece. I'm going to apply my next kind of colour, and by the sounds of that I am running out of yellow paint. I'm just going to watch it dribble down. But again, Baker Ross paints are a really good material to use, I think, or any ready mix paint really. But Baker Ross is one of my favourites, I've got to say. So I'm just gonna start, and then depending on the direction of the paint, you can start maybe rotating the work slightly. And then again, that will depend on where the paint goes. I'm just going to start by adding some of the pink, because I do quite like this pink material. I'm going to add some of the white as well, just because I think white, when it starts to blend with another colour, like it's doing now, looks really good. And then if you want, you can actually rotate and change the direction of the paint, which again, you can see on the corner, it's then blending down a bit more, and the colours then start to merge to make kind of zigzag kind of lines. So again, think about the rotation of the material as well. And you can see gradually all that paint is merging slightly, and you can see the fine lines of different colours coming through. I'm just wondering what else I can do to it now. I might add some more red, possibly. And now you can see if I start rotating it, the colours are gradually changing direction again, which is really interesting. Right, I'm gonna start by working on my brown paper piece, I think, because I haven't done that yet. So what I might do is leave the large backgrounds until next week, because I do have some large ones on the floor, but I don't think I'm gonna have any space left to do them.
You've been absolutely prolific today.
I think when you start doing this kind of thing, you get lots of materials out. Ideas generating very, very quickly, and then it's just a case of working out which ones you're going to do, and I guess where you're going to take the work, because with this work here, there are a lot.
I'm such a tightwad as well. Whenever I've got paints out, I'm like, right, I need to finish them. I don't want to waste them. I'm not going to throw them out. What can I do now? What else can I paint? What else can I cover?
I start by rolling out my brown paper and just cutting a little bit off, I think. And then, there we are.
So I've covered my grey plastic. I've done a thing, Holly, where I've stuck a couple of kind of green silvery fish on it, and I'm not sure that I like the fish. I might have to take the fish off, but I'm going to show you the grey plastic envelope.
Ooh, very good.
I'm not sure about these wee fish. I think I might need to take them off. My friend Jenny gave them to me. I don't think I like them. I think I'm taking them off. Sorry, fish, you're not staying. Oh, it doesn't want to come off. Oh, it's come off. I'll put you somewhere else. Look, I'll find somewhere else for you. There just now.
A bubble wrap background, I think. So just white paint to cover my. Very much painting and printing at the same time. And I guess performing really with the objects and materials that you're using. So we're all kind of coming together on a Zoom call, but then we are kind of performing in our own environments, which is quite interesting. Oh wow! Oh, I like this. Oh, I like the bubble wrap. I'll show you. I quite like. I quite like. I quite like that. Very nice. I'm gonna try that again, actually. Right. I think the trick with bubble wrap is just to not layer it too much, just so you want to see those spots and everything. You don't want too much paint all in one area.
100%. I've used bubble wrap and I've put too much paint on and I've just ended up with a big blob. But then if once you've kind of got the blob of paint off, it does create that kind of like multi-circled effect, which is nice. I wouldn't mind that over here actually. What to do with you now? I'm gonna leave you. That's what I'm gonna do with you now.
That's why we're looking for this black paint. One thing that I might do that I never really do is actually make a monochrome piece. Just keep it black and white and not add any colour on. I might do that first. Just because I quite like the brown paper and then the contrast between light and dark all on one kind of page. So I actually might just leave it at the black and white. Yeah. I might leave it like that actually.
Yeah. Because again, that's quite unusual for you, Holly, because you're always like really loads of colours, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's very different for me as well. Just to keep it at the black and white, because normally on my work there is some form of colour emerging. So yeah, I think it's yeah, definitely a turning point. But I do quite like the black and white and the brown paper. I do think it works really nicely.
Right, I'm going to wash my hands.
I think what I might do now is experiment a bit more with this brown paper, but focusing on like greens and blues and whites, and just seeing what different kind of combinations I can make as well. So I'm just going to start with this tennis ball on screen, and then some light blue paint. Bouncing and then dragging it around the surface. So already you can see it's made rinse or
Still zooming?
Are you free?
Hmm?
Are you free?
There we are. So we've got a mix of greens and a mix of kind of blues here. And these marks, to an extent, are totally random. You don't really know where the object is going to land, which is quite interesting. There we are. So already we've got a mix of bouncing kind of motions, and then just dragging the ball around to make large kind of like spirals in different colours. So already quite an interesting technique to apply the material, the paint to the surface. And now I'm just going to start adding some white on, I think. And you can also, for this, use a nail brush. I'm just going to get some more white paint. And you've got a nail brush here, which you can also use to just drag it around in the white paint. And then it makes some really cool marks. If I just hold that bit up, you can see the white marks on the material, which is quite cool. You can just make brush kind of motions. You can dab it, like I was doing before. So again, think about different ways to get that material, so that paint or whatever you're using, onto the surface. And these could be, through any form that you can think of. Now, for this activity, it is mainly about the experience and everything, but also think about the gestures and the different ways that you can apply the material that you're using to the surface that you're working on. and also the journey for yourself as the artist with the work. So the journey that you have as you see it developing over time, as well as the journey, the material or the surface itself has gone on. So again, it's a really diverse, a really interesting kind of ways of thinking about this mark making as an activity or as a thing to do. Now for this piece, I'm kind of giving it more of like an ocean kind of feel. So I'm just using quite marine-based colours, so things like blues, and I've got some purples in and some greens, and then just some whites just to mix and blend together. You know, white is quite a good shade to blend into colours and create pastel kind of tones. There we are. I do like working on this brown paper actually. I'll show you what I've done here. Again, using a nail brush and a tennis ball. So again, making some really kind of interesting marks on the surface.
It looks quite layered as well, considering it's just like the one surface. Like you've gone from like a really kind of collage based kind of multi-surface space onto just like a plain back, you know, just a plain flat background, and it still creates quite a lot of
What I've got now is I've got some white postcards. I'm just pushing down on the surface just to create some kind of printed pieces. And again, these kind of works that I'm doing, these printed pieces after I've made the actual artwork, it's almost like, I guess, a record or a trace of the marks that have been created. And it also kind of links the work quite nicely, because as you know, I've been experimenting with different scales of working and different sizes. So again, it is really interesting to do some printing, even if it's just using newspaper that you fold in half. It is quite interesting to replicate the works, and then you'll realise when you do that it hasn't been replicated exactly right, because these works are so random and they're not controlled that it's quite hard to make an exact copy of it as an original piece. So again, looking at, I guess, how unique the works are and the different materials and the different gestures that we're making, and also what affects the way we apply those materials as well. So say if you're angry or frustrated, you may use quite quick and strong gestures in relation to if you're talking, and then you just kind of applying the material gently. So again, different things that come into play when you're working with these materials, and I guess how it makes you feel. So again, the overall experience of creating and the overall experience of doing these works and these workshops. And I don't know about you, Fiona, but for me, when I finish, it gets me thinking about new things that I can try out through the week, and from the conversation, new ideas that I can experiment with. And often I see you doing things that I'm like, oh, I could do that, or I could try that. And again, if I did something and then you did something, and we're using the same material, they wouldn't look the same. And I think that's really, really interesting. The fact that you can use the same materials, but no matter how much you try with this activity, everyone's work will look different. And that is really interesting for me, for sure.
I think that's one of the things that I enjoy getting together with people to do art, is even if you have the same, like you've just said, even if you're all trying to do exactly the same thing and draw the same thing, everybody's going to come up with their own interpretation of that, their own vision, their own yeah, their own kind of skill set as well, which is brilliant. But I mean, just going on some of those images that I sent you this week, Holly, like I said to you, I didn't do them during the workshop with you, but they wouldn't have happened without the workshop with you, because they all stemmed from conversations that you and I had, or, you know, listening to other people that were on the call last week. Even the wee girl Polly, who was with us last week, I just loved the way that she was able to describe her process, and it was just so, yeah, it was really kind of like, yeah, you've totally got that, you've nailed that, and I can give that a try as well. So yeah, definitely, it's a journey.
I think it's quite interesting as well, when we look at the works that we've made, the relation between ourselves as an artist and then the work. And also, when you're creating, I think I talked about this before, but when you're creating marks for the materials, a lot of people are thinking, I think like you, in the first week or so, what do I make? What can I do with these materials? And then you see, for instance, like children playing, and the idea of the playfulness, the playful element within the art that I'm trying to kind of get out through the experience and through the enjoyment of doing this. But you're often conscious about what you should make and what you should do. And I think it's quite good where you just relax and switch off, and you just focus on the materials and just making different marks and experimenting. I think that is really key for this activity for sure.
I think I told you that when I came across you on Eventbrite, I was looking at it and I was thinking, no, I don't think that's for me at all. No. And then I thought, you know what, just give it a wee shot, see what happens. And then that first week, and you were kind of, you know, all about the colors and just like fly into it and just make the marks. And I was still trying to create cranes and trees and really quite literal things. You know, it took me a couple of weeks to kind of just get into the process of it, Holly, but I'm absolutely freaking delighted with the whole thing. And it feeds into other classes that I'm doing in Zoom, which are, you know, very different. There's sort of particular tasks and there's some, you know, sort of animal drawing and painting and using using inks and watercolors and what have you, and they're much more literal, I think, and I'm just relaxing into those spaces a whole lot more than I used to be able to. I was often quite tense, thinking, oh, my bird needs to look like that bird there, it actually needs to look like a chaffinch. But the more I've relaxed into just using the kind of the being more emotional, just connecting a little bit easier, find my chaffinches have started looking like chaffinches. Who knew that was going to happen? So although it isn't like that kind of like, you know, sort of strict drawing and strict interpreting, drawing that cup or drawing those flowers, this process has fundamentally changed the way that I do those kind of things, and for the better, absolutely for the better. Like, this is just me using up my last wee bits of yellow and green and black paint.
Oh, I love that. That's really great.
Yeah, and I got my brush out again. I got my stippling, my broken hairbrush. Oh, in fact, it's not finished. I want that wee triangle thing. Wait a minute. Still got some colour left. Still got a bit of green left. Oh, and a bit of white as well. So I got the dice out again, which landed at the number 3 today. So there are some 3s in there. What else? I used my circular lid and those plastic things that I showed you at the beginning of the class, which have made some really nice marks. I'm very, very pleased with the marks that they made. I don't know if I want to do this. Am I going to ruin it? No, I'm not. Go. Right, so that's both ends of my brush used now. And I used the netting on this one as well. And I also used this bit of squishy foam to make some nice kind of squishy squares. I'm very, very pleased with that. Am I holding it up the right way? Yes, I am. There we go. It's kind of a little bit like a sci-fi garden. And I decided this week, Holly, am I on mute? No, I decided this week, Holly, that I'm going to get a big board, like just a giant whiteboard, to actually put some of my paintings and drawings up on the wall without actually putting them on the wall, because this room, it was just recently redecorated, so I kind of don't want to pin things up on the wall, and also I'm not really at a point where I really want to frame things either, but I do kind of want to display things. I want things to be out for longer than the week that I've actually done them, so I'm ordering up a massive big magnetic whiteboard to start pinning my things on.
What I've done is only put works on the wall by other people, because obviously you can see here that our pieces are very nicely displayed on the wall, but I've just put up pieces that have been sent to me by other people, which I think is quite interesting, but serves a purpose, because I quite like the idea that you can see your work on the wall when you're creating, and I also like the idea that each work is by a different person, so it's almost like a mini show or a mini exhibition, with artists displaying work alongside each other, and that kind of then got me thinking about how we access art and how things are shown in galleries, and yeah, the context in which we view things. So yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, and I like your approach. And again, the art club that I used to go to with my dad, and again I'm one of the youngest ones there, and everybody's in their 60s, and they mostly do lovely watercolors and you know, scenic views and animals and flowers and things like that. And there's not many people work in this kind of like abstract way. And I've only been going for about a year or so, and they have an annual exhibition, which is quite well attended, and usually people sell quite a bit at it as well, considering most of them are amateurs. But the first time they were like, you know, what you're going to put in, and I was like, no, I'm not going to put anything in this year. I'll see about doing something next year. And then I was like, I don't do the same kind of stuff as you guys. I'm just going to stick out like a sore thumb at this exhibition. And now, honestly, Holly, I'm like, I can't wait for the next exhibition. I'm going to put in 3 pieces. I am so excited for this next exhibition. I'm going to be like, what do you think? What do you think?
Sometimes a new way of working and a new way of approaching something can be quite daunting. But yeah, no, I think it's just that learning process and learning with the materials and learning with the objects that you're working with, for sure.
And it's a wee bit, Holly, just about having confidence in what you're doing. Just like, this is this is genuinely work in terms of it's not just, it is play, there's no two ways about it. It's messy play for grown-ups, but there's a lot of interpretation in here. There's a lot of thought gone into it. There's a lot of effort gone into it, and you know, it's not yeah, it's about having confidence in what you're doing as well. And it's quite emotive, like you were saying. It very much depends on what's going on inside you in terms of how you create a piece and what sort of marks you're making and what the kind of cadence of you're putting it down onto the paper, you know, the kind of the rhythm that you're using, the pace that you're working at, all of these things like kind of just move into it.
I think as well you can generate lots of
Hang on.
Now, I was saying before, Fiona, I think from this process you can develop and generate lots of different works really quickly, actually. You know, within these workshops, you know, 2 hours, you can get a lot done. And again, I think you need to have these conversations to then develop ideas and develop new ways of working. I think other people's opinion and the kind of trial and error of the activity really does help. You know, trying different things. And for instance, the tennis ball worked well for me. You weren't so keen on it. So again, different relationships that we can have with these materials, with these objects. I mean, for me, I was quite confident in using a tennis ball, and I quite enjoyed it. However, I'm sure that may be something that you're not going to try again. So again, this trial and error kind of basis of the activity again is like a learning curve for yourself, as well as working with the objects, which is great.
And it's interesting seeing how other people are comfortable with things or uncomfortable with things, you know. Like I say, those first few weeks, and it was very much sort of things around the house, particularly things from the kitchen. And I was like, no, that will make my lovely kitchen equipment dirty, and why would I use my lovely kitchen things to make painty things with? And then 3 weeks down the line, I'm raiding the kitchen before I come onto your Zooms, and I'm like, I don't even know what this article does, but it makes fantastic marks on the page. I don't know, I've never used it in the kitchen, but I'm using it in my art room.
I think the idea of working with different objects and using them in a different way that we would associate with is really interesting as well.
The week that I go away, we're going up to Oban for a couple of days. All things staying being the same. We're going up to Oban for a couple of days. There's some lovely coastal walks and islands that you can get to very easily from Oban. And then we're heading over to Cullen, which is on the east coast rather than the west coast, and then down to St Andrews, where there's lovely woodland walks as well as amazing beach walks and coastal walks. So I shall be collecting everywhere that I go that week, and when I get back, it's going to definitely have a sea theme by the end of May for me.
Have you got any plans for this afternoon then, Fiona? Any plans for this afternoon? Oh, sorry, I think you're on mute again.
So I've got another art Zoom at 3. And we've been asked to bring things that can tangle, and oh, there was a wee list of things to bring to that one, which I'll need to look at. And then this evening, I don't know if I've said to you, I volunteer at a local community grocer, and on a Wednesday evening, I go into the shop after hours and price up our Green City order. So that's quite a pleasant task. I don't mind that. It gets me out of the house with a little bit of purpose. And I really like the lady that I work alongside. So it's a nice bit of out of house chat with somebody different.
I've just realised it's like 1:10 and we're getting carried away here.
No way, no way. No wonder, I'm starving. And I was thinking to myself, why am I so hungry? And I'm like, that'll be why. Okay, I'm going to show you. I've still not finished this cardboard box piece, but I've started putting some black onto it, and I've used this trusty little spray light lid to create some marks on that. You taking some more prints there?
Yeah, I've got some envelopes, so I might go around and have a look for any wet paint that I can print into. And then then go for a bit of lunch, I think, because I am getting a bit hungry now as well. Sorry, you're on mute again, Fiona.
Yeah, I'm definitely going for lunch. This isn't finished yet, but I'm gonna take another wee break from it. Thank you so much, Holly. What a brilliant session. Very productive today. Yeah, and I particularly like my plastic envelope, which might send to you.
Thank you very much for joining me then today. Yeah, send me a few photographs or something if you can, and enjoy your 3 p.m. art session. That sounds really good. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me. See you later. Bye-bye. Thank you very much, Adam, as well, for joining me. I'm gonna end the recording now because I've got I've got my chest stuck. Because I've got it on record. But thank you very much for joining, and hope you have a good stream as well later on. Bye bye.